Alright. Okay, so this is gonna be proof 2 of 5. Okay, so we're gonna work with this one now. So given angle RPQ is congruent to angle RTS and R is the midpoint of segment QS, we want to try complete this proof. So I'm gonna write all the givens. We know that our angle RPQ is congruent to angle RTS. R is the midpoint of QS. Okay, so this is given. This is given. Okay, so right here we identified angles that are congruent. So angles that are congruent, you want to label them. So angle RPQ is congruent to angle RTS. So we identified a pair of angles that are congruent to each other. Okay, the next part, it says R is the midpoint of QS. Okay, so I see some of you getting mixed up with this. Some of you are saying PR is congruent to RT. No, yeah, it says R is the midpoint of this segment. So if R is the midpoint of this, it's going to split. This midpoint splits QS into 2 equal parts. So that means QR is congruent to RS, and that is going to be by this midpoint here. So this is going to be definition of midpoint. Okay, so I don't want to see anything bisected or perpendicular lines or anything. Cannot make those assumptions. The only thing that you're given is a midpoint. Okay, so these are sides that are congruent. Here we go. So these are a pair of sides that are congruent. Okay, next thing I want to look out for, I have 2 intersecting lines. 2 intersecting lines, and right here, these angles here are called vertical angles. So I know these angles are congruent to each other. I see some of you are having trouble labeling these angles. Okay, so angle PRQ is congruent to angle TRS, and this is called vertical angles theorem. Okay, so here we identified a pair of angles that are congruent. So now if we look at this here, we identified angles that are congruent and sides that are congruent. But based on this diagram, what I see is the side here is not included between the 2 angles. So if it was included between the 2 angles, this would be angle side angle. In this case, the side is not included between the 2 angles, therefore this is angle side. Okay, so I'm going to write that out. Triangle PQR is congruent to triangle TSR, angle side. Okay, that's pretty much it for this proof. Okay.